Hello, my darlings. How are you all doing? Um, I have put up as a poll what you guys want to start with. I couldn't decide which one I wanted to start with, so I figured I would put that decision on you guys. Um, so while I wait for some more, some more people's input to be put in the into the the poll here, I thought that we would kind of catch up a little bit. So I hope you guys are all doing really well. Hello, Greg. I can see your username even without my glasses on. My eyes are like fairly broken without them on, so we're gonna keep them on. But yeah, I wanted to tell you guys what we're doing here. I know it seems like sort of like a 2-in-1 stream because that's exactly what it is. The truth is that I do not own an alto flute. I don't own one because I cannot justify it. I can't justify it. I don't play alto flute enough to buy one. And even though I really want one, there is an alto flute that if it one day exists, I will buy it. And I guess I'm kind of calling them out right now. But Guo, I already have your plastic bass flute. It is actually sitting nearby right here. Technically, I could totally play alto flute stuff on this. So that's one of the reasons why I just haven't bought an alto flute. But Guo, if you ever come out with a plastic alto flute, I am going to pounce on it 100%. Yeah, so for those of you guys who do not know what goes into owning a flute, especially ones as beautiful as these sitting in front of me, not only do you have the upfront cost of purchasing the instrument, but you will have to care for it, give it COAs, clean, oil, and adjust. That's what we call maintenance for a flute. So there are maintenance fees. If it's expensive enough, there are also insurance fees. So I do pay insurance on my instruments. It's very important, especially if you do this for a job. But it's still important even if you don't do this for a job and your flute is several $1,000s. So there's just a whole bunch of extra costs that I'm like, it's not really worth it for me. I really want to have an alto flute that I will only play sometimes if I don't have to maintain it. So the Guo plastic bass flute, you don't have to maintain. I have asked about like how many times do flute technicians see it, in their workshops, and the answer is never. So cool. How much does a COA cost in the US? It costs quite a bit. And it also, what I noticed is that the cost of a COA really depends on the standard of living in the area where you are getting the COA done. So lower cost of living will have typically a lower cost COA, higher cost of living, a higher standard of living will have a higher price for the COA. Really depends on where you're looking. So I have heard anywhere like very, 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 very low end. I've heard about 150, 200 is extremely low end. I think I pay closer to 600. I think it's 600, something like that. But yeah, it's it can vary quite a bit depending on where you are. So, okay, let me go down the list and say hi to everyone. Cranky, Nicholas, Jay Shu, Michael, Phantom, Insomniac, Greg, GOT Wins, who you guys will get to hear Greg on camera today. That's going to be super fun. Hey, Steven, Miguel, Adrian. Wow, there's a lot of you flooding in right now. Sean, did I say Sean? Donna, Charlie, Mateo, hello, hello. And Chef Maiku, hello. How are you guys doing? Rogue may or may not be present. Oh, hi. Hey, Blue Moon, how are you? Hello, hello. I know the universe may or may not exist. Are we dancer or are we human? Let's see. So, looks like you guys are all pretty ecstatic about this. Wow, Greg, you play on a Pearl 206. So if I play the Chained Echoes theme on it, it will be quite fitting. I think this is a 206. I think this Pearl here is a 206. Let me just grab the little invoice sheet. You guys need to be so proud of me. It only just occurred to me at the last review that I did, like I think it's like 2 weeks ago now, the last review that I did of an instrument that I do not own. I was like, I should just scan the invoice so it's just easy for me to open. And yes, I am absolutely right. Oh wait, this is a 207. This is a what did I link? I thought I linked a 206. No, I linked the 207. Interesting. I wonder what's the difference between the 206 and the 207. What is a 206 just like an earlier model? 206. I'm just looking that up really quickly. So what? Oh. Okay, I have a little comparison on here. Let's see. So the 206 is silver plated body and mechanism. Got it. And then the 207 that we hear is silver body, but the mechanism is plated. Okay, that's what we have here. Got it. But I'm assuming that the behavior of the instrument will be very similar to the 206. Like very similar. Okay, very cool. Yeah, exactly. 207 is sterling silver, head joint and body. Yep. And Blue Moon has the Pearl Alto 201. Beautiful. Let's see. Sean, you like the head joint on the 206. I'm gonna guess that the head joint on the 206 and the 207 might be the same. I think it might be the same. Great. The 207 can also come with a B foot joint. You are right. I am looking at the whatchamacallit, the product page that I have linked for you guys below if you guys want to go take a look. I believe the one that is here is not B foot joint. I believe this one is not B foot joint. Okay. Very cool. I'm just gonna wait a little bit longer, just a couple more minutes to see if there are any more any more entries into our poll here of which one you guys want to see. So it looks like Pearl is winning by a tiny margin right now. Okay, sounds good. Well, while we're waiting, there is a huge price difference between these two alto flutes sitting in front of us. The Pearl Alto 207, this baby right here, this particular configuration is $5,347 as of February 2025. Inflation and stuff will make things different in the future. So if you're watching this in the far future and it is not that price anymore, that's just how things work. I'm sorry. Or maybe it's cheaper for you now because maybe like sometimes the prices go down as they come out with like a new model and blah blah blah, that type of thing. So but yeah, as of right now, the configuration I have is $5,347. 347 because it comes with the straight and the curved head joint. This Kingma right here in this beautiful Weissman case is $20,000. So, this one is closed hole. If you guys look at the product page below, there is an open hole version. If I'm not incorrect, I believe I actually very briefly tried the open hole version at NFA. I didn't film myself doing it, like, because sometimes you just want to try stuff without being filmed. And I believe that was one of them. And it felt pretty good. It felt very interesting to actually feel the air underneath your fingers on an alto flute. Because that's just not typically what you feel. But yeah, there is an open hole version if you would like. So let me actually open that up too. Okay, wonderful. So, okay, now I'm going to see what you guys want to say. Hi, Amir, how are you? What's up, what's up, what's up? Hello, Carol, how are you? Yes, only a couple manufacturers make them with the B-foot. Sankyo being the other one. Yes, Sankyo is known for their, like, you know, their crazy long foot joints. Okay, now I do need to admit to you guys that, you know how usually I, you know, have never touched these and have never, like, you know, like played them as, like, I've never played them until I'm on camera with you. Well, I played a few notes on the Kingma because John wanted to hear how it sounded. I couldn't say no to him. So I played a few notes and then I was like, oh no, wow, this is really nice. So I don't think it's that much of a surprise. It is a Kingma Brandon, and I am a Brandon player. So just wanted to put that out there. Okay, I'm not trying to hide from you guys. The actual review part is going to be completely new to me. Did John like it too? Yes. He says that it sounds very, like, you know, has a sort of like creepy sound to it, you know, like a very emotive, creepy sound. I hope I'm doing a good job paraphrasing what he's saying. I play on a Brandon? I know. Okay. Oh no. At the moment I said I was going to end this the poll, now it's an exact 50-50 starting between the Kingma and the Pearl. Who's gonna break it? Someone needs to come in and break the 50-50 right now. I still don't know which one to start on yet. Hey Felix, how are you? You guys, why have you done this? I'm supposed to start reviewing them now. Are we just gonna do a coin flip? Is this a coin flip? This is just a coin flip now, isn't it? Oh, Kingma. Someone ended it. Okay, we're starting with the Kingma then. Okay, thank you, person who put in your last vote. Okay, we're gonna start with the Kingma, which means we are going to do this. Okay. Right. So while I, you know, prepare all of this stuff here. So I don't own an alto. So, but I have felt that the last time I, did a live learn of Chained Echoes, which is supposed to be on alto flute, I deeply regretted not requesting an alto flute to review while doing that live learn, because I just feel that the timbre of the instrument of an alto flute just fits that type of music so much better than the C flute. So this time I was like, I'm going to do it right. And I'm going to ask for some altos to review and then conveniently live learn some music afterwards. So halfway through this stream, I'm going to take a break, and then we are going to invite GOT wins here in the chat. Greg, who is the original alto flutist and many other instruments, did the saxophone parts and stuff like that to a game that I just beat, Hauntii. It's an indie game. I love it so much. It's like a creepy version of like Super Mario, where you like go around doing puzzles and you collect stars and stuff like that. But there is a whole deeper meaning to the story and stuff like that. But the music is absolutely beautiful. So we're going to invite Greg on our stream to talk about it. We're also going to invite Michael Kirby Ward, the composer. So we'll talk a little bit more about how we all got acquainted when we all come on stream together. But I want you all to know that this review is just an excuse for me to have an alto flute to learn Hauntii music. Okay? Okay. Let's do this. So we're doing, this is the Kingma. Let's just, we're going to just copy and paste what it, you know, how it's written on the product page. Okay, so we're gonna put the pearl away for a hot second, and then we will open this baby up. So I think you guys are gonna want this screen instead for now while we open this up. So the buckles are on this side here. So let's open it up. I believe this is a Weissman case. Here we go. Look at that. I'm just gonna turn it around this way so it's a little easier for me to, you know, take it out. So here we go. And here we go. And then here we go. So this thing is absolutely going to be massive on me because this one, I believe, does not come with a curved head joint. But that's okay. Now, this week, you guys will see, well, it's not like I haven't, you know, reviewed alto flutes before, but you guys can truly see what an actual alto flute looks like on me. It is like, an alto flute is actually half, if not more than half, my height. Okay, so a few things I wanted to point out to you guys while we have the flute parts here. There are a few things that I noticed yesterday when I took this out. So first thing I noticed was on the head joint, I noticed quite the like drop off on this side. So I hope you guys can see, yeah, you see how straight that is on this edge here? I actually kind of wonder if that is making it easier for me to play on this. It just feels very focused. Like it feels like it focuses your air for you. So I thought that was super interesting. Like it's like almost a wave, but not actually, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to do this so you guys can see it even better. Wait, this can, there, yeah. So you guys can see like how like straight this edge is. Let's see if I can, yeah, do you see that? Look at that. It like sticks up quite far, like it, and this is very, very like sharp drop off this way. And the hole, as you can see, it actually kind of curves outward with it too, which I just noticed immediately. I was like, oh, that's so interesting. But yes, you're right. It is solid, solid silver head joint and body. The mechanism is silver plated. Closed hole, tubing thickness is 0.019 inch or 0.5 millimeter. This uses Straubinger pads. The Cooper scale, it is handmade in the Netherlands and it is special order only. Okay, so that's the first thing I noticed was the very, like, to me, very unique lip plate. and embouchure hole. And then the other thing that I noticed was that besides this, which this I don't normally see on other alto flutes, like this particular little, you see, it's like a riser for your C key. This I don't see on other alto flutes. This is a very kind of a Brandon look. You can actually get an attachment like this to put on your C flute. And I just like that it is actually made out of metal here and actually incorporated straight in. The other thing that I noticed is that there are no like extra ergonomic finger buttons that are kind of like placed offset from the key here. Usually there are. You will see them on the Pearl when we next look at them. So like if you weren't really like paying that much attention, this wouldn't like, just at first glance, this kind of looks like a typical flute, you know, like if you had absolutely no size reference. But then you'll see these tiny little keys here. So you see these keys are actually extensions of these keys down here. So it's pretty cool. I really like it. I do also enjoy how they've fashioned, let's see. Yeah, so they have fashioned how they've done the thumb keys. I think it looks really pretty. So let's see. This is the G sharp key is all the way down here. What is this key though? Oh, right. That is the extension of the thumb key. I'm so funny. I was like, huh? I don't think that's a C sharp key. Okay, so that's what that looks like. It's really nice. It's very comfortable. But yeah, definitely this doesn't really look like a lot of your typical alto flutes. There. So I really like the look of the pointed key arms as well. But yeah, that's what this baby looks like. So yeah, if you had like, you know, if you're just looking at this right now, yeah, and right now you guys essentially have no size reference for how big this thing is. It looks almost like a completely regular flute. It's very, very interesting. But I guess I will give you guys a size reference. I'll put this is my C flute body. So now you guys have a size reference. This is a C flute, kind of your typical one. This is an alto flute. So quite a bit bigger, thicker, etc. All right, put that away. Okay, so those were the main differences that I wanted to show you guys that are pretty unique to the Kingma. Yeah, I really like this guy. This guy's, it looks so nice. Okay. So, very clean look, exactly. It's a very, very clean look. So Felix, the Kingma instruments you tried were always light as a cloud to play, so easy and everything just delicious. Yeah, I will say that I'm very surprised by how light this thing feels. I was very surprised by that when I played it for John yesterday. Oh, is that what this is? The soloist cut? Is that what this is? This whole lip plate thing that I was noticing? Is it? No. Oh, you're talking about your own. Okay. Yeah, it's true. I'm sure that someone looking at this while I'm playing it will ask if it's a straight head joint bass flute. Yes, absolutely. Hello, Adam. How are you? Adam, Betty, and Manna. Hello. Okay, so we're going to put this guy together now. Because we absolutely need to get started actually reviewing this thing. Okay, so I'm a little unsure exactly, you know, what I want to do with the rotation of the head joint. I'm just gonna guesstimate something that might work for me, and then we'll just take it from there. But yeah, for sure, I was very surprised by how light this thing is. Usually if it's sterling silver, like the whole thing, well, the mechanism is not, but the body and the head joint are. I'm like, ugh, this is so heavy. But it's not actually. Okay. Ugh, go away. Okay. we no longer need this. No, where is it? This guy. We no longer need that. Okay, so here we go. We are going to just noodle around a little bit, get a lay of the land. Then we'll go into harmonics. So here we go. This is what I look like with an alto flute, okay? You guys! Okay, I can tell that the intonation is, I'm not used to the intonation up high. So my initial feeling is that this is very comfortable. This is very, very comfortable. It actually, I'm kind of surprised at how small of an airstream I actually need for this. Usually for an alto flute, I need a much like thicker airstream, but I don't need that for this one. So I don't actually think I have to push as much air. I'm actually thinking, I'm kind of hearing a bit of an overblown sound. So I think I need to back off a little bit, but let's experiment a little bit with the harmonics. I'm trying to get the eighth harmonic. I don't think it's really coming out. Okay. Everything is very forward playing. So I'm just going to quickly try and map exactly where I'm feeling them. It actually oddly feels a lot like playing my flute, which maybe that's not odd because this is a Kingma Brandon. It literally says on here, Kingma Brandon. So, Kingma Brandon, Netherlands, USA. Actually says that. Okay, let's try and map it. Okay. Okay. It's very forward. It feels like everything is from like behind your bottom teeth. No, sorry, behind your bottom lip for the lowest note. Up until like the third register, it's still in front of my teeth. Like it rides higher. I'm just going to do some scales to kind of map it out a little bit more. I think I know what I'm doing. Okay. I have my whiteboard ready this time. Except I didn't draw the mouth again. So, excuse me while I draw the mouth again. But yeah, we're going to do... Okay. So, let's draw our mouth. So this is the Kingma. Oh goodness, my handwriting is absolutely atrocious. Kingma. Okay, so we've got our teeth in dire need of dental work. Okay, and then we need our lips. So, oops. There. Oh my. There. Okay. We'll just say that's kind of what we're looking at here. So, this is the Kingma Alto. There we go. So my lowest note is I don't have a lot of space there, which is why you guys are hearing it kind of disappear a little bit. But if I had enough space in my mouth, it feels like it's like right here. So this is, I'm going to be labeling this according to the fingering. So I'm fingering a low C, which I believe is a low G. So this is low C. And then as we go higher, that air bubble travels higher. So, you know, when you're playing the flute, you want to feel a little bit of an air bubble in your mouth, like as if you're saying pew, pew. You should feel a little air bubble, and that air bubble can move around. So that's what this little swirl is. The little swirl is that air bubble. So the low C is there. And then as you go higher, I would say that, let's skip a few. So I feel at least that the 2 octaves higher is when you get around here. So this one is technically it would be G5. So technically this is G5. We'll say that. The fingering is C6 though. Say fingering. There. Okay. So I guess for this one, okay, let me erase this really quick. So this one is technically G4 slash no, it's G3. What am I saying? It's G3. And then it's technically C4 fingering. So fingering. Okay. And then in between these, I would say that G4 is only like around here. Okay, so we'll say that this is G4. And then there is a, I guess, so it would be D, right? Yes, I believe it would be D. So D is sort of in a no man's land here. So this is D4. G3, G4. Oh my gosh, my brain feels weird. Yeah, C4, then this would be C5, but still G. So this one is a D5. There we go. Okay. Whew! Fingering would be a G. G6. G6? G5. G5 fingering. Oh my gosh. This is so confusing. I think what we're going to do, I know what to do. We are going to erase this. We're going to erase this and only keep the one on the bottom. Okay. Very cool. So, oh, there we go. So, go back to there. Okay. I just realized. Okay. And then, so that's 2 octaves up. So up from there would be B6. Yep, B6. Is it B6? No. B5. It would be B5. Holy moly. My brain. So the B5. B5 is here. So that's B5. So E and then G. So then G, D6. I'm getting it, guys. I can transpose. D6 is where I'm kind of wondering where it is. Okay, I'm cheating a little bit because it behaves like my Brandon. So I know that the the sixth harmonic on my Brandon kind of sticks out a little bit, like the air bubble sticks out. So I just tried it here and it absolutely works. I actually kind of think the air bubble comes down a little bit too. So that sixth harmonic is actually, it feels like it's here. I know that's really weird, but it feels like it just suddenly kind of comes down and out. So it's down here. This one is D6. D6. Okay. And then higher than that, I'm going to see. Find it because I don't think I have the space. I don't think I have the mouth space for it. I stand corrected. If I open my mouth a bit more, then it can come out. So from what I can tell, it essentially goes back to what it was doing before. So I feel like up here is, I guess, F6, and then the one above that is G again. So the G6, that was not a good place to put that. The G6 though is like, yeah, I really have to like open up a lot of my mouth in order to do it. G6 is like here. So G6. And I'll put it here. This is F6. Yeah. So I don't have a lot of space for the topmost part, but you're not going to be playing up there very much, at least. So I don't actually think that's a big issue. So this is going to be a lot of very front of the mouth tonguing as well. I think I can envision myself doing it a lot against, like right between my teeth. Yeah, a lot of the tonguing is just going to be right up in the front, I think. So harmonics wise, let's go to our notes about this. And I will, where is it? There. So let me write some notes very quickly about this. Harmonics is very forward, playing all in front of teeth. It kind of tracks because you're playing so low. typically when you play low, you play more in the forward part of your mouth, even on a C flute. D6 breaks the pattern and is more forward and lower, forward and low. It's a very interesting spot. Okay, so I think this is going to make a lot of your playing and going up and down notes very very smooth, because you don't have to do a lot of gymnastics. It's just all up in the front of your mouth, so it's just a mostly up down movement. Okay, so we have harmonics. Let's very quickly do, now that I have actually figured this out, this part takes the longest, so we will now do tone color dynamics. Let's do that. So tone color and dynamics. Okay. Okay. This reminds me of one of the other flutes we just reviewed in the last couple of weeks. Maybe was even my Trevor James piccolo. But what I'm noticing is if you want to open up the sound, make it really rich, loud, etc., you take the point behind your so it's the point behind the air bubble, and you open up the space a little bit down and behind it. So this will move with the air bubble. So let's say you were like up here and you're wanting to make these notes up here really rich. You open up the space, it's like a little bit down and back. So open up that space, and a lot of that open space is more so in the front half of the mouth, which is why I've drawn it so far forward in the mouth. And the reason I've given this point is because if you want to make it really, really tiny, like a tiny thin sound, then you just concentrate like kind of like a pinpoint air bubble right there, and you don't open up the space behind you. So if you just pinpoint like that, you'll get a nice little pianissimo like that. But then if you want it to be richer, open up that space down and behind it. So if anything, it kind of points downward a little bit like this. I didn't draw it perfectly, but like down like this. Like maybe, I guess a better way of drawing it would be if it's more like, let's see, like it, like that. Like it's pointing, it's more so a little bit down, like the space is pointing down and behind. So here's, like if you pinpoint, you can pinpoint it there, but then you need this space here. So you open up this space here if you want it to be nice and rich. So same thing like up here, like let's say you wanted to make these notes really nice and rich. Then you'd open up this space here behind it. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I think that's a slightly better representation of what I'm talking about. So that's how you get it nice and rich, thick, loud. and then thin, tiny, soft. That's more or less how you do it. So I find that very interesting that that is exactly the same how it works on another instrument that I reviewed recently. So I'll put here soft, thin equals pinpoint air bubble. Pinpoint of space at the air bubble. If you want it rich, loud, or sorry, there we go, loud and rich, then you want to open up space a little further back and lower than the air bubble. Yeah, cool. Okay, so let's now do very quickly, I think we need to do articulation. So articulation for this, I think, is just going to be everything in the front of the mouth. So here we go, some single tonguing, F major scale. Double tonguing. Okay, so immediately what I notice is that for the kind of what I call no man's land notes, which is like the air bubble sort of sits not really against any physical spot in my mouth. I was noticing my tonguing was a little bit muffled on them, but it fixed it if I actually tongued literally right between my teeth for those, like that, because the air bubble wants to sit right in front in that space right there, you know, that space. So when I'm tonguing low notes, it's actually kind of against my lower teeth. And then as I go higher into like the middle register, it goes here in between my teeth. And then it kind of like, it stays more so on the bottom part of my, like behind my front teeth. Right there. So the tongue essentially follows the where the air bubble wants to sit. So I'll put that here. Tip of tongue strikes behind air bubble. For middle register, tongue strikes between teeth, or in the space between teeth. And then I get a much like crisper tongue that way. So that one that I just did is way too high. That's against my top front teeth. And you can hear how it fuzzes up the sound. But if I tongue between the teeth in the middle register, it just clears it right up. Yeah, crisp. Everything else is exactly where you would think it would be. So I think that's just an interesting thing to keep in mind if you opt for this particular alto. We're going to just mess around a little bit with the mechanism. It's so nice. Light, bouncy. It's the way I like my mechanism, but maybe it's just because it's Kingma Brandon. So, you know, yeah, it's super bouncy. I really love it. have the ergonomic buttons, I actually weirdly feel like I have a little bit more flexibility of where I want to put my fingers. So I'm not sure if maybe that's why they didn't put ergonomic buttons on here, other than it looking a lot cleaner without them. I don't know. For me, I almost feel like it gives me a little bit more flexibility to kind of like shift my hand around, especially because I'm so dang small playing this. So I actually find that I need to shift around a little bit for like certain parts just to kind of like compensate for the fact that I'm so small. So, but mechanism is super bouncy, very even. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. So bouncy, even, light. All of them are. I mean, I'll play some of the trill fingerings for you guys too. You hear that? That like crispness? I think the B flat lever could be... No. I think I was hitting it at a weird angle. If you hit it straight on, it's really, really bouncy. Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So, I can see that I have spent enough time on this one. So I am going to make my way now to the pearl. So let's figure out what we're gonna do here. So much going on here. I think I want to put this guy, I'm just gonna sneak this guy here, and then we'll do this. Here we go. So let's open up the pearl now. Here we go. And thank you for the reminder, but yes, I did put on my silicone ring. Okay. So we're doing the pearl now. So the pearl is this is the 207. GOT wins here, plays on 206. Or you did the chained echoes one on a 206, right? So let's put this together. I am going to I think try both head joints, but I will probably play I will probably do the second half of the stream on the curved one, just because I need something shorter. I can feel myself slightly straining right now because I'm playing instruments that are way too freaking big for me. But okay, so I'm going to very gingerly put this over here. Okay, wonderful. So I'll give you guys my thoughts on the curved head joint as I do it in the live learn part of this. Okay, just making sure that was closed. But there's a few things that I wanted to show you guys while I have it here. So you can see that the way that they do their keys looks a little bit different, right? Like here, this is actually more so what I expect an alto to look like. So there's like ergonomic buttons here. This one doesn't have a riser, whereas this one has a tiny riser. This one has a tiny riser. So this one doesn't have a riser. Also the thumb keys here, they're kind of like designed to look like sort of like one big piece here, whereas, you know, the two keys are much more distinct here. And yeah, so, and over here, like you can see how the way that they've done the pointed key arms, but they don't have that kind of like extra little engraved circle thing that they have here on the Kingma. But yeah, normally I think I would more so expect it to look like this. This is kind of my typical expected view. So, and it's a beautiful, beautiful alto flute. Absolutely gorgeous. But that's what that looks like. Like, that's kind of what stuck out to me. The other thing that I personally notice, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm just going to very quickly take out the head joints. Because I think that the that the Pearl has a much bigger lip hole. You guys see that? Look at the size difference. So that's why I was very surprised at how comfortable the Kingma was, because I was expecting a much larger, Airstream. So I'm expecting your typical large Airstream for the Pearl. Okay, so we are going to put that over there and put this together and give this a whirl. Okay. Did I try the quarter tones? I don't think this Kingma Alto has quarter tones on it. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this is actually just a typical alto. Typical, not really typical because it's Kingma. Okay, here we go. Let's relabel our situation here. So let's see. The review title, right. So this one now is the Pearl Alto Flute Model PFA 207. That is what we're working with here. So we'll do that. Sorry for the slight scuff. But okay. All right. Let's give this one a whirl. Yeah, immediately I'm noticing my Airstream has to be way bigger and wider. Okay, it's a lot more forward. It's not as low, it's more forward. That's why I'm having trouble finding it. I feel like I'm going in order to like get the air bubble to sit properly. Okay, this in general is more forward than the Kingma. I'm actually really surprised by that. I was not expecting it to be even more forward. That's actually insane. So I feel like I'm almost playing outside of my mouth. Like I'm imagining the air bubble outside of my mouth, like going up pretty high too, which is why I'm finding it actually a little bit difficult to get those high notes out. So same thing, I have to open my mouth in order to create enough space up there. But interestingly enough, the note that breaks the pattern is quite low. I believe it's the D5? Yeah, I think. A good idea of what we're working with here. So let's return to our whiteboard. We are going to do a new page here. Okay. Oops. Let me make it the correct size. There we go. So it's very similar to the Kingma here. So this is the Pearl, Alto 207. So if we have our mouth here, oh my, what a jaw. Okay, go. I think I need to do the top part first. Oh gosh, this is quite terrible. Okay, close enough. And then we need some lips. So we'll give us some lips. Oh, this is so terrible. Okay. Similar, but more forward than the Kingma. So our lowest note, I'm gonna remind myself, what was that? That was a G3. Okay, so the G3 sits out here. So it feels like it sits right here. So that's the G3. Then it kind of goes up. So G4 is like up and slightly back. So this is G4. The D, what was it? D5. Okay, D5 comes out and down. So it's like out here. That's a little dark. Let's do that one. So it's like, I don't know, it's like, it feels like it's right next to it, but more forward, if that makes sense. D5. Then we continue to go up to D5, G5. Okay, so G5, it just kind of keeps going up, like around here. G5. And then let's see, G5, B5. So B5, it just keeps going higher and higher. So let's do B5 is, let's test it again really quickly. Yeah, in front of the teeth. Yeah, it gets pretty high up in front of the front teeth very quickly after that point. So the, let's see, like this is where B5 is, and then it just keeps going higher and higher. So D6, right? Yes, D6. So, and then I don't have a lot of space for these. This is F6. And then like way up here is G6. Like it's very hard for me to get it because I really don't have a lot of space up there. Okay, yeah, I think this is approximately what we're working with. Now, I don't have a lot of time to do the rest of this review, so we're gonna go pretty fast here. I hope you guys are in on the ride because I'm supposed to invite our composer and flutist on stream in like 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes. So let's write down here, like what I would say about this is, so harmonics, like this is extremely forward playing. The D5 is that's the harmonic that kind of breaks the mold a little bit. So lower end or middle of the middle register, you may find that you have to play more forward in the mouth in order for it to get that same quality of like clarity, that is. So D5 needs to be more forward. I'm gonna guess also that because of that, you're going to have to tongue more between your teeth in the middle of the middle register. All right, so let's just go very quickly with tone, color, and dynamics. Let's see what I need to open up in order to make this work. Interesting. You do have to open up the space behind, but it's not down and back. It's higher. It's behind and higher. So let's go back here. So whereas here you can see that open space if you want to open it up and make it louder, down and further back. Here it goes up. So this is so interesting. This is so insanely interesting. Okay, so it's basically like, let's say you wanted to do this note, or like, yeah, this note. So if you want to have a nice, thin, quiet sound, just make it just pinpoint that air bubble to a very tiny point and you're good to go. But if you want to open it up, you actually open up the space above and behind it. Like that. So I was trying a higher note and it's the same thing. So if you want, like, for example, this note to be nice and rich and big, you have to open up the space like behind your like top teeth. Like it's the open space needs to be up and behind the air bubble. That's so interesting. That's so interesting. Okay. Huh. So well, let's put this here. So open space. So we'll say soft thin equals pinpoint air at the air bubble. Loud, rich, it's open up space behind and slightly above, slightly higher the air bubble. Oh, that is so freaking interesting. That is super interesting. I never would have seen that coming. Okay, articulation really quickly. Let's do... Okay, so I was right about the tonguing around the middle of the middle register needs to be in a slightly different spot. I feel like I have to stick my tongue out way further. Because if it's too far back, it gets that really like thumpy, kind of like muffled, muddy sound. So I'm almost doing a French tonguing for middle of the middle register, and it is because that air bubble needs to be so forward for the middle of the middle register. Interesting. So as I'm making my way into the middle register, I'm actually tonguing more and more forward. So I'm going higher and more forward. Let me show you here. So your tongue, essentially we're following where their air bubble is going. So first I'm tonguing more so actually like against my lower teeth for the lowest notes. But then the tip of my tongue is kind of hitting like here, and then higher to start to get into middle register. Middle register, I actually straight up feel like my tongue is like hitting out here, like way out here. And then as I go higher and higher, I'm going up my teeth. So it's like a V shape essentially in terms of where I'm hitting with my tongue. Okay, and then double tonguing, I'm gonna guess I just do the same thing, but I keep the K really forward. I'm gonna try that a little bit here. used to like sticking my tongue out that far in the middle register. So I am definitely fighting myself a little bit to make myself do that. But when I do it properly, it does work really well. And it's really, really, really clear. So you just have to kind of get used to that, I think. I'm actually curious to hear if Greg has a similar reaction to the middle of the middle register on a Pearl alto. Okay, so I will write that down. So articulation is you're following the air bubble, but middle of middle register equals tongue comes out really forward. Almost feels like French style tonguing. The poo poo poo, like it almost feels like that, but not quite. Like you're like almost there. Okay, very quickly, let's mess with the mechanism. It's just also very, very like bouncy. I would say that it's actually more bouncy, not quite as light. The mechanism is very good. It's just there's a hair more resistance than on the Kingma. So I would describe it more bouncy, not quite as light as the Kingma. Bouncy, not super light. Like, I wouldn't call it resistant though. It's not resistant. It's just that it's bouncy, but with like weight, if that makes sense. Bouncy with some weight, which I think this is something that quite a few people will actually really like. So there, now you guys can read that. Okay, wonderful. I need to put myself on break and invite our guests into the room with us here. So let me put my desk in comfort mode. So we're going to invite Michael Kirby Ward and Greg in here. I'm just going to put myself on a bit of a break so I can set up the Discord. There's going to be a little bit of scuff while I kind of resize things and stuff like that. So you guys are going to have to, forgive me for that. But let's make that go away. We'll just do that. I think that's okay. So we're going to go on break. I'm going to go and say hi to our guests, and then we'll bring them on shortly. All right. See you guys in a bit. Very excited. Okay, hey guys. I'm so sorry about wait. Actually, this is also using the wrong microphone. There we go. Okay, hey guys. So there's a whole lot of scuff happening right now because my computer decided that it hated all of the things that were going on at the moment. So let me just, we are going to grab Michael and Greg here on the screen. So yes, it's working. Okay. Okay, so we'll do this. You guys are here. Excellent. Yay, they're here. And then I'm going to make myself small. I'm gonna put you guys up in the corner, and people can, well, yeah, actually maybe you guys can be in this corner. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, so people can't hear you though, so I'm gonna turn this on. Can you guys say something real quick?
Something.
Hey, there you guys are. Wonderful.
Something.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you guys down a hair so that it matches my volume. Okay, wonderful. So, hello chat. We are here. Just wanted to give a very warm welcome to our friends here. Greg is on top. Greg is the alto flutist who played the alto flute part and also many other parts. I'll let you describe what other instruments that you played in Hauntii, the video game. And we have Michael Kirby Ward here on the bottom here, who is the composer of the OST for Hauntii. For those of you guys who don't know what Hauntii is, I'm going to just show you guys a quick little clip here of me playing. I actually just recorded a few clips of me playing. I originally wanted to actually play on stream, but I'm playing on my husband's Game Pass, like Xbox Game Pass.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So it just didn't quite work out with trying to get it to work on this computer. So I recorded a bit and I just wanted to kind of show you guys what it looks like. So this is what the game looks like. It's super, super cute. You are playing as a little ghosty and you are going around collecting stars. I won't spoil why you're collecting stars, but you are collecting stars and you have a little angel friend that goes around with you some of the time. But yeah, it kind of plays what you would expect, kind of like a Super Mario-ish type of game. But you get to also haunt things. You can essentially be some of these objects in here. I think the bit that I did, this was my last wizard, by the way, that I got.
Yeah, that one's hard.
Yeah, I actually got used to fighting them by this point because you start to get a feel of what the pattern is. So I was okay, it's not bad. But anyway,
not too bad. It's a little puzzle.
This one, actually, if you guys watch me do this, I did this in such a horribly look how
just go for
almost died.
Just run. Yeah, the game it has an element to it. If you'll notice, the game is sort of two-tone, so there's light areas and dark areas.
Yes.
And when you're moving around in the environment, if you step off of a light area into a dark area, the audio starts to detune and get creepy and freaky, and eventually there's these demons that will come and grab you. So in that part where you were just playing, you're trying to get through the dark area quickly.
I love
there's lasers and things. Yeah.
So you can see me also at that point getting very greedy.
Risky,
little
risky
money, which I still need to farm a lot because I need to get all the hats because you can wear hats in this game. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a feel of what this game is like. So let's start first with how you guys started, how this whole Hauntii game started, and at what point were you guys brought onto the project, and how did you get in contact with the project like this? Because I think a lot of people who are watching this are curious about that type of thing. How did you guys get involved, and how did you become a part of this awesome little project?
I can start that because my involvement predates Gregory's a little bit.
Mm.
Um, so I on Reddit many years ago, I found a trailer for a video game that was being made by a man named Leo Dasso,
Yep.
and the game was about submarines and a sort of fantasy steampunk world that you would adventure through. And I was very taken with the trailer that they had made for this game. I thought it looked amazing. So I aggressively wrote him a message saying, "Hey, I really love your game, and I think that I could write the music for it," and compose you a sort of,
Wow.
yeah, kind of like a giant, epic, sweeping fantasy score.
Yeah.
And he responded with, "No, thank you. We are doing a Kickstarter right now, and we will find music people later." And I immediately then spent an entire weekend in a sort of like manic fury, composing this piece of music for this project that I kind of heard in my head, and sent it to them.
Wow.
And he said, "Okay, just kidding. You're hired. You can do the music for the game." Um, that was many years
Whoa.
ago. That was many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Just sort of a very serendipitous lightning strike of inspiration hit me, and I happened to
Whoa.
meet this unbelievable creative genius Leo, who
Yeah.
then years later, after we finished that game, years
Yeah.
later, we both sort of, that was our, getting into the game industry.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, years later, he had left the game industry completely and was working in sort of just the corporate sphere, but was
Oh.
really itching to get back into making art. So he started doodling and like making little drawings and stuff in his free time while he was working, and
Oh.
some of those doodles started to turn into characters that would eventually be in this game, Hauntii, which is everything in the game is 2D, hand drawn by him.
Yes. By him?
And yeah, he's like, when I say he's like a genius, I mean he programmed the game, he drew the art for the game. He wrote he and I worked together to write the story. He really is like a one of those like just crazy multidisciplinary guys that I am lucky enough to have met.
Oh
And
my
eventually
god.
we did actually eventually get funding from a publisher because it was just the two of us working on the game.
Right. Right.
And that allowed us to bring on like a sound designer, a dedicated sound
Okay.
designer, so I could
Yep.
focus just on writing music,
Right.
and a 2D animator, so that Leo could focus on programming and drawing the backgrounds and the characters, and then the
Yeah.
animator could take those and animate. Anyways, so he and I as the years went
Yeah.
on, we collaborated on this like these little doodle drawings that he was making, and he was sort of just creating little tiny vignette levels in Unity, which is a game
Yeah.
development engine
Yep.
on PC.
Yep.
And we created like a little demo that was
Yeah.
just sort of the beginning chunk tutorial of the game that teaches players how to play the game.
Yep. I
And
love that part,
once
by
we
the
had,
way.
yeah, that we think that's maybe the best thing that we've made. It's something that took us, we spent about 2 years, like really focused on that little tiny
Wow.
portion at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
If you actually have like a game console, or you have,
Yeah.
access to a gaming computer, you can actually play a demo of the game for free that has this sort of beginning segment that sort of showcases a whole bunch of, the way that the game plays and the
Yep.
music and the
Yep.
ambiance and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
But so we spent a few years working on just this tiny little slice. Then we launched a
Wow.
Kickstarter campaign to try to fund development for the rest of the game, and our
Yep.
Kickstarter failed. We did not do enough groundwork to sort of market it and organize it and get like the
Right.
way that Kickstarters now work in the modern
Yeah.
age.
Oh, it's tough,
So
man.
it is. It's
It
really
is.
tough.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we were not to, we were disheartened, but we refused to be defeated. So we shopped the game around to different publishers, and
Yep.
eventually found a publisher in the UK, a small sort of indie focused game publisher,
Right. Yeah.
um, Firestoke Games, and
Yep.
they graciously funded the rest of our development, which allowed me a very modest budget to be able to hire actual live musicians. I play a bunch of different,
Yep.
instruments here, but
Yes.
I can't do, and I wanted to get actual live musicians recorded,
Yeah.
and that's where Gregory comes in and
Yep.
can take over. And yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had come across the game I forget where. I don't know if it was like on a Steam channel or just YouTube. It might have actually been the Kickstarter. I came
Oh,
across it and I heard some of the music and I was just like, this is incredible. And so I reached out to Michael on Discord and I was like, hey, do you need any like live woodwinds? Because this is a really cool orchestral soundtrack. And
yeah.
you were like, yeah, and that just started the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's
And it was
incredible. Both of you essentially
Yeah.
like cold
yes,
contacted.
yes.
That's
You'd be amazed
incredible.
by how many things come together that way, where it's just kind of
Yeah.
like if you see something that really like hits you in a sort of as an
Yep.
artist that hits you in an
Yeah.
inspiring way, you got
Yeah.
to chase that. You got to
You do.
go
You
after it.
absolutely
And
do.
if you do,
Yep.
you're gonna a lot of times you're gonna strike out, but there will be those little times where things line up. And this
Yeah.
happened to be one of those times where we were really fortunate and a whole bunch of things lined up. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It was
incredible.
yeah, I
You're
mostly
absolutely right though. Like the cold contacting is pretty like it happens a lot in the creative
Yeah.
world. Yeah. But you were saying, Greg?
I was just saying, like, so I mostly recorded like soprano saxophone for the soundtrack, but there were a couple
Yes.
tracks where I did alto flute,
Yes.
just because like, so I only play soprano saxophone. I don't play any other saxophones because I've always loved the sound of the soprano saxophone because it just doesn't
Oh.
sound like a saxophone.
No,
It
it
sounds
doesn't.
like it sounds like a cross between an oboe and an English horn and a weird trumpet. Like
Yes.
Yeah.
is like the best
Yeah.
way to describe it. And
Yeah.
I've always loved that sound. And
Yeah.
I forget what instrument I think you were using was it a serpent sample, like like a medieval
Uh,
serpent
Yeah,
sample
something. Yeah,
initially?
some vague
Something.
transverse type
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
And I think I didn't I think I said like this kind of sounds like a soprano saxophone
Yeah.
a little
Oh,
bit.
wow.
And then we
Yeah,
recorded it.
yeah. I was thinking about it like a solo instrument to use, and I was initially thinking sort of like
Yeah.
clarinet,
Yeah.
world, English
Yeah.
horn,
Yeah.
world, that area. But
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Gregory
soprano
suggested the
sax
soprano
is
saxophone. Yeah.
beautiful. It's
Yeah, and
it's
it became sort
gorgeous.
of like a core instrument for the whole game, alongside sort of
Yeah.
I would say the two main instruments for the characters in the game. You have the
Yeah.
soprano saxophone represents the little dark little ghost that you play, and
Yeah.
then the alto flute represents this angelic being that you
Yeah.
meet named Crisp.
Yep.
Their
Wait,
theme is played with the
they
flute.
have a name? I
They
didn't
do.
know.
Their
Because
name is
I'm
Crisp.
playing through this game completely blind, right? Like I'm just like
Yeah.
I just went into it. The way that I came across this game, well, technically Greg told me about it. So like I found our message from like last year, like or like at end of was it like end of 2023 or something like that. And so Greg had messaged me on Discord saying, "Hey, you should look out for this game, Hauntii," and I was like, "Cool," and then I forgot about it. And
yeah,
then
yeah.
I want to say it was I think it was December of this year. My husband, he has Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass, and so he,
Mhm.
we love indie games. We love like these types of indie games, and we're
Yeah.
always like every time we finish one, we're always kind of like itching to have another one because we love the puzzles, we love the art, the music, just
Yep.
kind of the fact that like everything comes together in this like beautiful package, the storytelling, etc. And like we personally find indie games to be like very, very creative in that way, where you can really
Yeah.
like push a
Yes.
lot of bounds.
Yes.
And so, my husband was the one who is like, I have seen a lot of hype around Hauntii. I'm downloading it. Joe, you should play it. You should play it.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'll play it. And then I fell in love. And both my husband and I have beaten it. So what we do when we play single player games is, I will sit on the couch with him, but I won't look at the screen. So I
Nice.
actually
Okay, yeah.
heard a lot of the music before I got to certain parts.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So I didn't actually know if there were bosses in this game.
Oh.
I'm very
Oh.
bad at bosses. So, but I kept hearing like some like really exciting music
Epic
sometimes, and I'm
stuff.
like,
yeah.
is this a
Yeah.
boss? And then my husband's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So like it was interesting to kind of hear the music, try and think of what was happening on screen, and then actually play it. Yeah. And then so I guess like what it sounds like then, and that's actually what I was wondering about too, because I could hear how much that like the choice for alto flute for the angel to me I thought was amazing, because it's, I think a lot of times when people think of angels they think a little bit higher, not quite the alto. But I think for this game especially, and what the angel ends up doing for you, I think the alto flute is a lot more of a proper choice. So like, was there like an artistic decision between the two of you to settle on an alto flute for that role, or like how did that come into being?
There was. It was Gregory's. That was also Gregory's suggestion. There were, I think, all of the solo instruments in Hauntii. I basically consulted with Gregory to get like an opinion from him, and we got to use. It was really helpful because we ended up basically using a bunch of different solo instruments that are not typically utilized as solo instruments.
Exactly.
I mean, the soprano saxophone, does get the solo stuff, but it's a lot of smooth jazz, not always, but like that's what people associate with it.
Yeah.
And the alto flute was another instrument that Gregory, I was trying to figure out what should play the theme, the angel theme. And Gregory was talking about the alto flute, which I had no like experience writing for. And so I think you actually sent me some samples of you playing, and I was like, wow, that sounds gorgeous. Like, yes, we should absolutely use it. It has that, rich, warm, it's bright like a flute, but not, it's breathy like a flute, but it's not like a regular flute, but it's not, but there's a depth to it that that I was immediately drawn to. Yeah.
One thing I love about the alto flute is I just feel like it actually has a wider tone color range than the regular flute in some instances.
Yes.
I just find it to be just so flexible in that regard. And even though the alto flute isn't as loud as a regular flute and is actually quite a quiet instrument, when you look at the dynamic range it is capable of, I also find it to have a more flexible dynamic range in some instances.
It can get soft and gentle, but it can also, I mean, there's actually a track later in the game where we bring the Angels theme back in with the alto flute. And I had Gregory just screaming at the top register.
Yeah, you had me at the top register, and it worked so well. And it worked so well because it was one of those moments where I forget which orchestration it was, but Austin Wintory, I think it was on his reorchestration for Journey. He had
Journey. Gosh. That's such a good game.
One of the best soundtracks ever.
Really.
He had the flutes going up to a D7. And typically, as you know, whenever we see a D7, the first thought is, why is this not on piccolo? Please. But the way he did it, it was so idiomatic in the sense that it just worked for the context. Because I think it was the track when in Journey, I guess the game's been a while, so forgive me if I'm going to spoil it, but there's a part where you ascend, right?
Yes.
In Journey, and he had it play. He had that D7 happen when you ascend.
I think it's apotheosis.
I think it's apotheosis, and it's just fits so well, like the shrillness of that
it
note
cuts.
onto it. Just and so you had me playing like the highest notes on the alto flute in there, and it's just like when I'm not going to spoil anything, but when you see the context for what that's used in, it works. So
is it okay without spoiling anything? Is it in the last section? It's the
final sort of boss.
Which I got obliterated in a few times because I fell off the stairs.
Oh, nice. The little platforms. It's a little tricky with the depth perception to.
My husband had to tell me, like, you're turning the wrong way, like you're reading it wrong. I was like, oh, thanks.
That sort of, there's a final encounter in the game, and there's a big piece of music that that came together really quickly. As a matter of fact, it was just a couple of weeks, I think. And I basically, I was like feeling the pressure as the composer to be like, okay, we have to like really wrap this up in a thematic, beautiful way.
Yes.
And there have been all of these themes that have been sewn into the narrative up to this point that I want to bring back, and instrumentation that I want to bring back. And one of those things was the alto flute, because the angel character that you've been with, this guardian angel character you've been with through the whole game, is an integral part of this final segment. So I wanted to bring the alto flute back in, and but it doesn't just play the theme that you have heard it play through the game. It plays another theme which you've heard in other contexts in the game and in the score. And it like, we literally did I think it was a Discord call with
we did a live
that I
session.
sent. That I sent the track to Gregory, and we were sitting there with like the little sheet music line, the melody, like the core melody lines I'd written out that I just sent to Gregory as like single lines, like a few measures. And then we just sat there and like went section by section and like recorded, and went back and forth, giving, like, bouncing ideas off of one another. I would say, okay, can we do that again? But can you do it up an octave? Like, stuff like that. And it was a lot of fun. And then I just took all of that, everything that we had recorded together, and I then mixed it into the piece of music, and also did a little extra arranging, and went, okay, well, the way that Gregory played this line, I'm actually going to change this part of the music here so that we can really highlight this, that kind of stuff. So it really, there's a final section in the game with the alto flute that I think there's a really cool collaborative element that brought that together.
That's so interesting, because as a player, I was just going into it completely blind, right? Like, there was a reason why I had all these questions for you guys, because I was like, how much of this is how much creative leeway do you get as the session recording artist, right? Like in Greg's, in your role as a flutist, because in sort of in classical land, you don't you don't get a lot of leeway. Let's say you're in an orchestra or something like that, right? It's essentially like you have to do what fits with the group, because everything is done live in the moment, right? So you have to make a decision of of what you're going to do to fit into the group, which is not necessarily your own sound. The conductor also will direct you and say, hey, you should have this sound, to for this type of interpretation or expression or something like that. But
and it's
listening as a player, I was like, there's more that's going on. I could tell,
and it's even worse when you're in a live studio session, because you're just basically sight reading and hope you get it on a single take, and it's just and that's one of the things I love about remote studio work like this, is by the nature of the work itself, we can, in some cases, we can afford a little bit of creativity. And collaboration.
I can hear it. I can hear the creativity, because it feels like it's almost like I couldn't tell who wrote the music.
Oh yeah.
The soprano sax and the alto flute parts just sounded so organic and emotional, and it sounded almost improv. Where was it improv, and how much of it was improv?
Not really improv. I would write out the melody ideas for certain themes that I knew I specifically wanted. But there was a bit of massaging that we would do, because ultimately, at the end of the day, I am not a woodwind player,
Right.
And so I might have an idea for a melody in my head, and I have to sort of do a calculus for myself as a composer and arranger when I'm hearing a player translate this melody that I've come up with in my head. I have to go, okay, this does not sound good on this instrument. Or I have to go, this does sound good on this instrument, but there's maybe a part here or there where it kind of it's a little thin because it's in that register, or it's it's crossing a break in the woodwinds register or whatever. And those kinds of things it's stuff that I wouldn't necessarily immediately think of Really great sort of like master composers and arrangers are,
Right.
they've worked so much with players that they
Oh,
know
yeah.
all this stuff. So they'll come and they'll drop a part in front of you and it's probably going to be from the jump exactly what they want. But
Right.
with me, I'm not that good yet. So I actually,
I would
and
contest that, but you know.
Okay.
You are.
I
Yeah.
I
You are.
thrive on the collaborative energy because
Yeah.
there is, you know, so much of art in general is just about like inspiration, expression.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I'm working with someone who is an instrumentalist who is like they have things that inspire them about their instrument and about how it functions, I want to tap into that so that
Right.
that inspiration and energy can come through in the eventual soundtrack that I'm making and then come through to the player as they're playing the game. So it's really cool to hear that it felt that you were getting that sort of collaborative energy in the
Yes.
soundtrack just playing through, because that is definitely something that I want.
I absolutely was. Like, as I was playing it, well, the thing is, okay, this is the funny story. So I told this on stream last week, but not everyone here may have heard it. So I'm sitting here playing this game on my off time, and and this is like completely unwinding time for me. So I don't like, you know, usually I don't post about this stuff or anything like that. But like as I'm playing, and then we got to, you know, the angel comes out like in near the beginning, and the alto flute starts, and I was just like, wow, this is so nice. Like I really like this theme. And then I remember thinking to myself, man, what if it's Greg? and then I was like, I don't know, right? You know, and then because I had completely forgotten that Greg told me about this.
Right.
So then I'm just kind of like playing through, and then like, you know, I'm listening to the rest of the music. I'm just like, man, this is like such a banger, you know, like it's so good. I really like Ember's theme as well.
Yeah, that one's
you know,
fun.
like I just continuously singing it all the time.
I've heard that from a lot of people that it's really catchy. That they get
Very
that
catchy.
specific one stuck in their head. Yeah.
It's super catchy. And then I think the best part too was like, so I think where I really was like, holy crap, this is like a work of genius is, I hope this doesn't spoil it too much for people, but there is a section where it's kind of a boss fight, kind of not a boss fight, but you are chasing Ember in it's the vortex.
Yeah.
And so the vortex I thought was amazing because I could hear like at least 3 different themes going on at the same time.
Oh, nice. You actually, nice.
If
because there
not
are there.
more.
It's woven in there. Yeah.
I think there's like at least 3, but I think there are more, right? Like the more I listen to it.
There's a few things in there. There is, well, it depends on the intensity of the, because the music changes depending on what's happening, but it's all one big piece of music. The way that video game music works is it's adaptive, so it has to be able to change as you're playing. It's not just like a film score or a classical piece where it's, you know. So depending on where you are in the level, depending on what's happening in the level, it can crossfade volumes between instruments and between arrangements and stuff like that. So there are segments of that piece that depending on what's happening, you can hear like Crisp's theme comes through and Ember's theme and
Ember's theme comes through, the sand whale comes through. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, such a cool part.
It's just so cool. Like I first heard that theme not watching the screen.
Oh, nice.
My husband did that fight first, right? So I was just sitting there like, oh my God, what is going on, right? Like because I could hear like all these themes going on at the same time. I was like, what the heck is going on? And I was so far from that part that like I didn't even know about the whales yet. So my husband, I think, finished that whole void section in like one night. And then that night when we were brushing our teeth, he was like, I'm trying not to spoil it for you, but I'm just going to say,
oh man,
I hope you like whales.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that piece of music, that boss battle music that has multiple different elements, that was a really interesting case of I didn't really have that in my head. Like there are times where I'll sit down and I'll go, okay, I kind of know what I want this to sound like and I'll whatever.
Right.
That was a piece of music where the story that you've followed up until that point is informing what's happening on screen. And we have established some things in the story. We've established some characters, we've established some motivations, and we've also established some instrumentation and some ideas, you know, behind the way that certain characters feel instrument-wise.
Right.
So that was a piece of music where I went, okay, here are the elements that I need to have. I need to have sand whale element. I need to have ember.
Yeah.
I need to have crisp
Yeah.
is an important part of this moment. So
Yep.
and how do I blend these all together into a piece of music that, you know, and that kind of, it literally came out of that. I was like chipping away at a block of marble or something, trying to figure out what it would look like at the end. And I was really happy with how it came out, but yeah.
Oh, absolutely incredible. Like it, I think I have a very unique experience of it though, because I heard it alone.
Yeah, you heard it first. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and because you're a musician, that's like it hitting you hard. You're hearing like, oh, interesting modal or whatever, you know, thing.
Yeah.
And then actually getting it in context and getting hit with it a second. It's almost like hearing the Star Wars soundtrack first. And then going like, this sounds like hero, this sounds evil, this, you know, and then watching it and going, oh my God, that's, you know.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
exactly what it felt like. Because I think for me, I am very, I really love like polyphonic music. So I like way too many things going on at the same time.
Lots of notes and things.
Like multiple melodies going at the same time, multiple textures, and like how you layer them on top of each other. I mostly like it because I can't do it. Like one is I play a single voice instrument.
Right, yeah, monophonic,
Right, and two is I'm a very bad composer. Like to me it's very
same here.
Right? Like you see what I mean, right?
I've heard Gregory's arrangements. This is nonsense.
But yeah, it's like I think it's what I perceive I can't do, and so I actually notice it more, and I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. So yeah, leitmotifs, as Just Another Flute Guy here in the chat is saying, I find video game music to be actually very operatic in that way, where the use of leitmotifs, going with characters, with places, with you know, certain situations going on, it's you're essentially playing an interactive opera.
You know, that's interesting. I actually hadn't thought about it, but that is, I get really in my head. And so I don't ever want to come out and say like, I wrote an opera. That sounds like just
I mean, you
bonkers
did.
to me. But like, that actually does kind of make sense. I mean, it took us 4 years to make. And when we were starting with the game, we were trying to scope the game to be as small as it possibly could be, because it was just me and this other guy, Leo.
So it's just the two of you.
It was just us working on it. So we were going like, we want to make something, and we've worked in the game industry and in art, you know, long enough to know that the death of a lot of projects is overscoping stuff, trying to do too many things and getting burned out or whatever it is. So we tried to purposefully scope the game as small as we could, and it just kept getting, you know, as our projects tend to be, it kept getting, you know, expanding little. So when I was approaching writing the music in the beginning, where it was like, we need to have leitmotifs, we need to have thematic stuff, and then also instrumental, you know, not just leitmotifs melodically, but instrument wise, and, you know, trying to settle on genres and all that kind of stuff. It did kind of end up becoming a sort of like almost an operatic organization, I guess.
Yes.
Because it is. There's that's so wild for me to even say. But you mentioning that, it actually that makes sense. I wasn't doing that. I wasn't consciously doing that. But I think just my sensibilities for the stuff that I like, where I love leitmotif stuff, I love simple but catchy things, or using the DNA from like one melody. Like there's the main theme in the game shows up deconstructed and reversed and reconstructed all in so many different places in the game, that like I would start there with that for a lot of things. We would go, okay, we need music for when you are creating constellations in the night sky. Like, this is a really important thing for the story, where you're a ghost and you're, you know, sort of recovering your memories. So I like deconstructed the melody from the main melody, and you know, did a whole bunch of stuff like that. And that shows up all across the game with multiple different themes. There's a moment at the very end. It's one of the things I'm the proudest about music-wise in the game, that is just a small thing, but it's actually right after that, the vortex that you were saying, that boss fight. That fight ends, that, you know, climactic battle ends, and you get Crisp's theme again, but you get it just in piano. and it's
Yes,
just
I
like a
noticed
solo
that.
piano. Yeah, but it's a completely different like arrangement. It's still the melody,
Yeah.
but it is different timing,
Yeah.
different vibe completely. And yeah, it like doing little things like that across the whole game was really cool. I felt really
I
lucky to be able
heard
to do
it.
it.
Like
Nice.
that's why I was like, "Oh man, this is
That's
like
good. That's
this
good.
is
I'm
so
I'm glad
good."
you heard it because I'm like
Yep.
the music nerd guy doing this stuff, and then people play the game and they'll go like, "This is fun. This is really great," and
Like,
I love
but
that
did
people love
you
the game.
notice?
And
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah.
only person that's ever going to nerd out this hard on like,
No, no,
oh,
no, no, no.
this
Yeah,
dominant seventh chord I used like 4 times, whatever. Like,
yeah. Don't worry. I nerded out pretty hard. In
okay,
fact,
good.
I kept
Great.
I kept listening to the Vortex
Yeah.
on repeat just because I wanted to hear more and more of the different parts come out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like I find that with each repeated listen, I can hear another part that I hadn't heard before. And
Leo has actually said that to me too.
Yeah.
Leo, the designer for the game, because we've worked on
Incredible.
multiple different things together. He's
Yeah.
told me that there's like things that because I really will overthink the music. Like I will get too much. But
Right.
he's told me there's been times where he's like re-listened to a piece that I've sent him for a game or whatever, like a
Yeah.
few years later, and been like,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that the whatever melody is in there,
Yeah.
because I nerd out
And
pretty
it's so
hard when I get the chance.
symbolic. Like that's
Yeah,
the thing.
that's the idea.
Like-
That's the hope.
I think for me, like what I found incredible about this game was just how you can tell that you worked on the game. That you're
Yeah.
not like a composer hired for the game. You
No,
worked
it's
on
very
the game.
personal. Yeah,
Yeah.
You can
it is.
tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very personal. Hauntii is by far the most personal thing
Oh.
I've ever made, and definitely that Leo has ever made either. Like the game is just he and I. It's really I'm really interested to be able to revisit it later in my life because
Yeah.
it really is like a snapshot of like who the two of us are as artists and creatives at a certain point in our lives. To
Incredible.
like a really like there's a song at the very end of the game that I wrote that I spent 2 years writing because it was important. It was a really important piece of music for the game and for me as a person, like as a human.
Yeah.
It was like I
Yeah.
need to write something that I feel will encapsulate all of this and bring
Right.
it all together and
Yeah.
bring it all home.
Yeah.
And that was really cathartic for me and was
Yeah.
rare. That's something that doesn't happen often.
I
That's
agree.
not something that people that artists get an opportunity to do all the
Yeah.
time. So I was like, I need to like really make the most of this opportunity, and
Yeah.
it luckily it came together. I don't think Gregory actually recorded for that, but I took a recording that we had done and put it into that piece of music because it
Home to Home, right?
yeah, Home to Home, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see. I love this kind of thing that you can do
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this sort of medium because you can really like mix and match, like
Yeah.
according to inspiration. There's not like
Yeah.
like having written it is not actually the final part, right? It's like
No.
it can continue to evolve even after you have all of the pieces.
Even
Like,
having it
Oh, yeah.
recorded, once it's recorded, it's not even done. Like I said, I took recordings of Gregory and I repurposed them. Feels such a cheap way to say it, but like rearranged them in ways that it was like, you know what, if we have this at this moment here, it would be
Yeah.
really impactful or whatever. And then also because it's a game about ghosts, I could do sort of surreal stuff with the instrumentation, like pitch shifting things around and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which is
So I remember
cool.
during Crisp's theme, when we were recording that, you'll notice on the sheet music it ends on a second octave written C, and I was for the alto flute, and I was just
Yeah.
like, hey, why don't I end this on a low C, because then I'm
Yeah.
gonna be able to hit the
All the way
lowest
down.
note on the alto flute. So like at the end of the piece, you'll hear me at like pianissimo just hit the lowest note on the alto flute
Yeah.
at the very end, and it just gives that like, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Finality,
Oh.
that closure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
finality.
Yes,
That's the word
yes.
that I was gonna say
Yeah.
just now too. Like,
Yeah.
oh,
I remember you sending
that
that to me and
sounds
being
awesome.
like, I remember you sending it to me and being like, I hope this is okay. I did it, and I was like, it's perfect. That's exactly what needs to
Wow.
happen. Yeah.
Oh, see, because I this is exactly what I was wondering about, like playing it. I was like, I cannot tell who wrote it, like because
Right.
it sounds like a true collaboration. Like,
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't know how many composers would write it like that, but I know as a flutist, I would want to play it like that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, yes.
And then there are things that you know that you wrote that I was like, I would never write that, but I would love to play it. You know,
Right.
like it.
Right, right.
I think hearing the two things, I was like, I gotta ask you guys how you did it, because
we came up with some of this crazy stuff. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I think I want to ask one more thing. This is just for fun. Before we, you know, get to playing a little bit. So this is really dumb, but I spent way too long on the gunslinger part trying to get that achievement. I got the achievement, but I think I spent an hour on that one mini game.
It's a fun game.
That was a fun one. So because that one loops like over and over. Were you aware that there was a possibility that the player could listen to it for an hour straight?
Yes.
You did?
So when you do game score, this is one of the cool things that I really love, because I majored in film scoring, but I moved into game scoring stuff. And this is one of the things I love about game scoring and game soundtracks and gaming as an art form, is that because it's interactive, there's almost an element of, depending on how in the weeds you get with it as a composer or a musician or whatever, the player almost becomes a conductor or an arranger or whatever, without meaning to, without realizing it. If I've done my job well, it won't be too stark, you know, it should feel seamless, but
it does.
There are certain puzzles, because the game's all about solving little puzzles and collecting things. There are certain puzzles where when you engage with them, actually starting the puzzle will change the music in some way. And so I knew that because they're puzzles and because the player has to figure out, okay, what are the rules for this puzzle and how do I solve this? I knew the player was going to be sitting in some of those puzzles for a little while, but that they're meant to be quick. They're meant to be like, you know, each puzzle in the game is not meant to be like you sit there and you mull over it for 2 hours or whatever. Right. So it doesn't, they can't be long pieces of music. They have to be small, and they have to be able to repeat a lot. Yeah. But they have to not get old, and they have to not, you know, they have to feel fun, and they have to, you know, and the gunslinger, there's a puzzle, there's a game, a carnival game in an area of the game that is like supposed to be this giant theme park that's the size of, you know, Disneyland, but just for ghosts. And so there's a little, I remember when Leo was designing that, the cowboy, you know, shooting gallery. I suggested
Cowboy
we should have a shooting
Bang
gallery.
Bang.
Cowboy Bang Bang.
Yeah.
Because I go to, you know, I live in Los Angeles, so I've been to Disneyland, and, you know, I love those little shooting ranges, those old, you know, silly. So I suggested, why don't we try to figure out like a shooting range thing we could do in the theme park world? Yes. And he was like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I'll you know, draw up a thing." And he drew up the little cowboy character with the giant cartoon mustache and
with the mustache,
yeah. And I was like, "Oh my God, we need cowboy music." And Leo literally was like, he was like, "No, we don't have time. We don't have budget. Don't." And I was just like, I'm just going to make it. I'm just going to make cowboy music. I'm just going to do it. So I just like literally, I listened to like a whole bunch of spaghetti Western, Ennio Morricone, you know, and I was like, I got to channel this. It's got to be like really spaghetti. And so it's actually, if you listen, it is the Wickland theme, that it's that, but spaghetti Western-ified.
So awesome. Incredible.
So yeah.
I was singing that all night, every night for several nights in a row. Nice. It's very catchy, and it's wonderful. And because I was like, wow, I still like this song even after an hour later, you know. Like I kept doing that thing where I kept shooting the angel accidentally.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things where you start to build that muscle memory. Yeah. And then you just kind of like, you know, you can actually cowboy bang bang basically.
But you're in the flow.
Yeah. So it was, and I came away from it going like, I still really like that tune.
Oh, good.
Like, how did you do that?
I listened to a lot of Disney music. Honest to God, that was I love old Disney music, like old, you know, Pinocchio, and I mean actually, Hauntii is Pinocchio. Like, if you think about it, the story of Hauntii is actually an adaptation of Pinocchio. So I listened to a lot of the Pinocchio score, basically. And then on top of that, when we were designing this sort of, like I said, this like theme park carnival world for ghosts, I was actually listening to a lot of the Haunted Mansion music from Disneyland. There's if you've ever been to Disneyland and you've been to the Haunted Mansion, you'll know that there is one song that plays and it repeats and repeats forever, but it's super catchy. You will walk out of the Haunted Mansion singing "Green Ghosts come out to
yeah.
I listened to that a whole bunch, and I was like, I need to start here and then grow it out into Cowboy Bang Bang and all sorts of different things. And
I hear it. I hear it. I was actually kind of wondering. I was like, this is because I also grew up with Disney, right? Yeah. So Wickland to me was Disneyland. Like I was like, it really has Disneyland vibes, and the music is like bang on, like on point.
Nice.
I was like,
okay, good.
So now that you say that it was basically based on Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion, and also Pinocchio, I'm like, I can see it. I can hear it.
So Wick is a reference to, there's a character in Pinocchio in the Disney adaptation called Lampwick, and Lampwick is the character that leads Pinocchio astray into Pleasure Island, and that's so Wickland is like a light reference to Lampwick, the character from Pinocchio.
That's incredible.
That is really cool.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for like coming on here and talking with me and just being a nerd with me. Both of you. Seriously. Thank you so much. I guess now I would love to try and learn the Crisp theme.
I sent you the session sheet on Discord.
Great.
And I'm pretty sure that should be the transposed version.
It should be transposed.
Okay.
You should be able to just play it on alto flute and
on alto. Yeah. Perfect.
I don't know if I had the accompaniment without the alto flute. I don't know if you have that. Let me look.
All right.
Wait a minute.
I've been playing straight head altos this whole time, but I am a very small person. So I am going to get my curved head, not mine, but a curved head joint out. Pop that on.
Oh my goodness. Maybe I have. Wait, do I have the original session on my computer?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I probably do. I don't delete my sessions ever, just in case there's like a.
So when you guys like record this stuff, like I'm guessing that like the music that you guys send to each other, is it like, or the sheet music that is, it's not 100% complete, is it? Like when you guys, do this work together?
It depends.
Because it's so
It depends. Yeah, I mean, for mostly, Michael, you sent me just like complete sheets with expressions and everything.
I tried to,
yeah.
Towards the end with the final piece, we didn't have time.
I think it's hard with that final one though, because
we just didn't have, literally didn't have enough time. But
yeah.
But oftentimes, like a lot of the composers I work with, they just they'll just send me MIDI mock-ups that I load in, and that's very typical. Like, because I work with a lot of composers who don't read sheet music, which is that they work entirely electronically.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they just work completely in the DAW, which is cool. And and oftentimes they'll just like, oh no, like how do I send you something to like read and record? And I'm like, just send me a MIDI mock-up. It's gonna look messy, but all I need really is to see what the pitches are, and I can figure out the rhythm from there.
Yeah.
And then I'll just discuss expression with them. Like we'll just go over like, hey, how do you want me to express this? And then sometimes, depending on how detailed it is, or if they want me to just kind of try it, I'll write in expressions, just sort of in the MIDI mock-up myself. Okay. So that's typically, I kind of love doing that too, because at the same time you get to add your own expression in on sometimes with things
so
like
interesting. Do you essentially like from that create your own sheet music too, or like
kind of, because you're opening the MIDI, and I usually open it in MuseScore or Dorico, and it will just take the MIDI and
then just kind of like pop it on. Oh, that's so interesting. Wow. I feel like no one else would tell me that that you guys do this kind of thing. That's so cool. Oh man,
it's pretty neat. It's fun to do. It's like it's exciting as a composer. It's exciting to get to hear stuff that's just in my head or whatever. And then I'm sure
Yeah.
for Gregory, it's fun to get to like be
Yeah.
handed some material and then get to like get your hands on it and get your fingerprints all over it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for me, the player, it was especially fun to see Greg's name at the end. So with it, you know, the credits came on.
Yes.
I saw your name, Gregory Orosz. And then I was like, I screamed at the top of my lungs. I was just like, and my husband was right next to me too. And I was just like,
God.
that's Greg!
It's him.
It's him. Which I don't know how many people know this, but like I cold contacted Eddie, the composer for Chained Echoes, last year, I believe it was, and then because I loved the music, so much. Alto flute and it was fantastic. And then it was in that stream where I was live learning Chained Echoes stuff that Greg was in the chat and it said, hey, I played the part. I was the flutist. And not only that, you said that you like had been watching my content before too. So I've been watching
your content since like your first time on YouTube, I think.
Oh God, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, no, I remember coming across your, like when you first released the video of your tour through school when you were in school, I think.
Oh my God, was that?
I've been following. I don't know when.
Was that my master's or was that my bachelor's?
You were recording. You were doing like a tour and it going through your day at music school. Yeah, you. Yeah,
was it like the was it day in the life of like a
yes
day? That was my master's. That was like more than 10 years ago.
Oh wow. Yeah, no, I started following you when you posted that, and I've been following you ever since.
Okay, I need to tell you. So after that last year, when like I like met you through the chat, so like I came out of my stream and then I told my husband, I was like, dude, you know the alto flutist in Chained Echoes? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, he's been watching my videos. And then my husband's like, see, I told you should just say hi to these people. So, and now we're here. So perfect. Yeah. Okay. I have the sheet music in front of me.
I'm gonna export you. I'm exporting from the original session. I'm getting a piano, just piano, no flute thing, really quickly.
I would love if Greg, do you have your alto flute out as well?
I
or
do.
Can you get it out?
I am not warmed up, but yes.
That's fine. Neither am I anymore.
Yeah, I'm not warmed up.
Beautiful. Because I feel like we would be doing you a disservice if we didn't let you play this on stream.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Hold on. Oh God.
It's okay. You got this, man. You play so beautifully in the recording.
Let me see if I have the sheet music.
You played so beautifully. I was like, man, I hope that's Greg.
So it was.
Oh, I'm so flat.
Okay, I'm sending
this room I'm in is very, very cold.
Okay, I understand. I've had to turn off the heat in my room too, because otherwise it's just blaring.
Where is my window? Okay, I'll try it. This is gonna sound horrible, but I'm gonna try it.
It's gonna be beautiful.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Just that's beautiful.
Down to the low C.
Yep, down to the low C. There we go.
Beautiful.
That was
The
amazing.
master. Yeah.
Thank you.
My husband's in the chat. Jonathan So in the chat. There you go.
Hello.
So see, my
Thank you.
husband
Thank
says,
you so
very
much.
beautiful. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So a few things I noticed that you do, that I now can hear even more clearly in this like live, like version here.
Yep.
I'm noticing that you're doing very slight pitch bends every now and then. It's almost kind of like you're scooping the notes.
A little bit. A little
Yeah.
bit.
And also you turned off your vibrato in the last section there.
Yes.
So
that was very intentional.
yeah, like was that, can you describe like expression wise what you were going for when you turned off the vibrato?
The whole time I was performing this, I kind of was just thinking of how angels sometimes they'll fly, but then they'll sometimes just kind of hover, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when at that last part where I'm repeating the theme, I was just like, well, let's just kind of symbolize crisp hovering. And so I kind of thought that not having vibrato at that point kind of symbolizes not just kind of hovering a little bit,
like it has that
air.
Static feel to it.
Yes. And so that's why I decided to do that part, that specific part without vibrato. And also kind of in the first from like up until A, I kind of use minimal vibrato, a little bit here and there, but minimal. Then when it starts to build, I use a little bit more, but
Wonderful.
I think I think it lends the theme some poise. Like there's a flowing beauty to it with the vibrato and the way it builds and recedes, and then that very bit and it's almost like you said, like hovering. There's a stillness and a composure to it that feels really like mature and like.
I also just love playing flute without vibrato in a lot of instances. I just recorded a theme a while back for a game that had an ice level, and I basically had the idea with the composer to just have these stacked flute chords that are just completely no vibrato, straight toned, all of that stuff.
Oh, cool. Yeah, like Frozen.
Sounds like those you know when they like fill like glasses and then you do a little,
and you go around the edge.
Yeah, it has that kind of sound to it.
Crystalline.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what, like, that was exactly my idea. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Which makes
so
sense because you don't do vibrato on that. You can't do like.
Yeah, no, you can't.
Yeah.
What are you gonna...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it kind of gives like the stillness of ice. So when did I record that? I think I recorded that like six-ish months ago.
That's
someone
pretty
just reached out to me on Twitter. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So
wow. Again, the cold contacting,
collaboration.
Yeah.
You're a player who also thinks like a composer too, which is really helpful for us as composers.
Thank you. Thank you. In terms of actually writing music, it's hilariously bad. I think I did a reaction to a string quartet that I wrote for an assignment in my theory class at school, and it is very funny how bad it is. Like there's some like questionably chromatic parts where I'm like, I don't know why I did that.
Why did I go there? Why did I?
Crunchy.
Yeah. I like crunchy. Though.
I only have two compositions I've ever written that I'm actually like somewhat happy with. One is so bad that it's actually good. I wrote something for like harpsichord and English horn, and it was just like, this is just wild, crazy, doesn't make sense, and it's kind of cool. And then I wrote an 8-bit battle theme in 5/4. That was pretty cool. But other than that, there's like, I have like 50 other things I've written here and there that are just, in my opinion, crap. But other than
5/4s, the Mars, the bringer of war times.
Yes.
I so much combat stuff that I write is in 5 something or 10 or whatever.
That's what I was actually going to.
The second boss is
That's what I was going to ask. So the second boss is in. Is it 5/4? The carnival boss, right?
So it alternates time signatures.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And then also there's a segment where it locks in.
Yes.
And it needs to just be driving. Well, there's 2 sections where it like locks in and just drives forward.
Yeah.
One of those is in 5.
Okay.
And then one of those is in 12 when you get onto the roller coaster.
Yeah, because that's
12.
That's symbolizing that.
Yeah,
like
you're like, you're going forward now,
Yeah.
as opposed to that sort of jilted,
Yeah, because I was actually kind of like counting along with it.
Yeah, it's like a really, really fast, like 5/8, basically, like.
Oh, so 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3.
Yeah,
right?
and it also, depending on the melody, it'll flip to 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3.
Okay,
like the strong beat. Yeah.
God, that's what was throwing me off, because I was like,
yeah,
and like I would get it, and then I'd be like,
yeah, like, because there's this thing like smashing around. It's supposed to feel like, whoa, what are we doing?
Yeah. Oh. That was a great fight, by the way. That was a fantastic
We were
fight.
really happy with how that came out. Leo told me the concept for it, and he told me, quote, "I want you to go as unhinged as possible. Like, write me the most unhinged thing you can, and this is what the fight's going to be." So and I sent him the eventual track, and his response to me was like, I think he was like, "Michael, why did you do this? How am I going to make a bot?" Like, because I just wrote this insane piece of music, and he was like, "I don't know how I'm going to match this music. Like, this is wild what you've written."
Yeah.
That I was happy that I got the confirmation that I went fully unhinged with the.
It worked. It really worked for that fight.
It should feel like madness. It should feel like,
Yeah.
Yes.
You're at this point in the level, you've heard that melody so many times that you're kind of starting to go crazy. Yeah. And it's like, okay, this is this is maybe too much. And then that boss fight is supposed to be like, no, this is too much.
This is too much.
This is the overwhelming.
Yeah. Like, things got real the moment, your temporary little friend gets snatched up.
Yes,
right?
Yes. And you go from, there's the theme being played on like a carnival organ.
Yeah.
And like there's a sad story moment that happens, and then you get that carnival organ playing the sort of the theme park's theme leitmotif. But then when you transition into the boss area, it keeps playing, but the carnival organ turns into a church organ, and you get all the pipes and that, and then like if you listen, it's the same. And if you go back and forth between like the boss level and the normal level, it's the same piece of music. It just transitions from like a calliope. No, what is it? I don't remember. Some smaller organ into a big church organ, and then the boss fight starts, and it goes into a full orchestra, and Stravinsky stuff.
It's so good. It is so good. Like I was doing that fight, going like, I need to listen to this again. Like,
it's a lot.
When I'm not also like trying to like
trying to pay attention to the game. Yeah. That piece of music took me a while to write, but not as long as there's like a city at the end of the game that I wrote. A whole I went way too hard on it, but that took me years. But that boss fight music, it was like I think I had to use like 5 or 6 separate sessions in my computer to deconstruct ensemble, because it has full orchestra, it has like electronic dance music type production, it has a solo violin player that I needed to like, that's a live player playing, so like I had to mix that in, it's got like all of this crazy stuff, and then I had to mold all of that together in one final, like I had to export each one of those segments as its own track, and then construct it together in a final session so that I could have the full piece of music, because my computer literally just couldn't run everything that was playing at once.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. It was a huge, it was too much. Fully unhinged. Unhinged.
It worked. It worked for that boss fight. Amazing. Okay. How about I give this a whirl now? And then I wouldn't mind essentially getting a lesson in this. So like, I'll play it, and then I would love to hear please don't just tell me it sounds nice. Okay. I would love to actually hear like what about my interpretation maybe you didn't think about, or what direction you would change about how I would play it. I'm just kind of curious about how like you guys, as the original recording artist and the original composer, how you would react to essentially someone covering it. So does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. There's also, I put it in our Discord chat just in case you want it. There is an MP3 that is piano playing the so there's no
accompaniment.
You
found it.
Yeah, there's no flute in that, so you could potentially use that as well to inform.
Okay.
So that you're not just playing it a cappella, but it's up to you. You could do both. You could do neither.
I'm down actually, because I think this will catch the desktop audio. So let's see.
I know sometimes like audio routing stuff on the computer can be tricky, so it might you might
true.
try to play
I
it.
think
and it
I might actually be desynced from it because I had to resync these mics to my all the techy back stuff.
Tech things.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I love that. I love that so much. But let's not complicate it too much. I'll give it a whirl and see what you guys think.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Give me a sec. I don't normally play alto flute, so. All right, here we go. Page turn.
Yep.
Oh. Runaway head joint.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I'm trying to even think of notes to give you.
Like, what would you say? Because I could hear myself kind of like accidentally putting in vibrato, where I think in a second go I probably wouldn't. That type of thing.
That was sort of just like my interpretation with the no vibrato thing. It's not wrong to add vibrato. There. One thing I tried to stress in my performance was when you have that section that goes just the ba-deem, ba-da. I really tries to emphasize that lift because again I'm thinking an angel just kind of like flapping up. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So right there I'm just like
Okay.
So really just giving that that lilt, I guess you could say, that lilt.
Let's try that. Do not like how this is placed. Give me a second. Okay. Something like that?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Exactly. And I liked the thing I was gonna say is that it's that 16th note run. It's like a dominant 7th chord, but it's augmented dominant. Do 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 do. That. It's really good to like, because I think of that almost like it's the angels like sort of flapping and like perching.
Yeah.
So it's like a you know, like you can kind of dig into that the first note, which I think is like an F
it's like
sharp,
a low F.
a bit transposed. I don't remember, but yeah, like that like kind of scooping up into the land on the perch. Yeah.
So you have a lot more leeway then with like a little bit of timing leeway. Like you can really sort of like dig in there.
Yeah. Especially for the very last one at the end. You know.
Oh, hence the tenuto there. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's
That's
almost like a
subtle.
little, it's a subtle little
Yep.
pullback,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's super subtle how like even just like really thinking of like landing there can
Hmm.
create that sort of perched
It gives
sound.
you I'm a singer, so it gives you like when you're singing and stuff, it's
Yeah.
similar wind instrument,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
it's giving you a target and then telling you how to
Okay.
approach it. You know, so you're coming from
Okay.
under and then going over and landing. Da, 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 you know.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Wonderful. Any other things that you would have like changed about how I played or
Honestly,
um, gave you
that was
thoughts?
beautiful. I
Thank
Yeah,
you.
can't
I
even.
couldn't think of
I
anything else. Yeah,
I
yeah.
like I'm literally just it's like I would have to like nitpick little, and I can't even think of what I would nitpick. Like it sounds beautiful.
Same.
The but seriously, thank you guys for like
You,
making this
thank
music
you for
for
yeah.
like making this beautiful. It's really a work of art, truly.
Yeah.
Like
Thank you. It
playing
means
this
a lot. Thank
game
you.
was definitely one of my top favorites. Like, and also like I think it's like it's one of those games where like I like the content of it too. I think we haven't really talked very much about the content. But you are a ghost, therefore you are dead.
Yeah,
You
right.
know,
Yes, yeah.
and I tend to actually really enjoy games that deal with the topic of death and
Mm-hmm.
what does it mean to truly live. What
Mm,
does it mean to rest in peace?
right.
You know, how knowing that about you know what you would do in those situations, like how you would live your life, how do you
Yeah.
pass on to the next life in a peaceful way, in a way that matters to you, which is really what Chained Echoes was about as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I think what I really like is it makes you kind of like reprioritize, you know, what's important to you in your life. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Michael,
Yeah.
you mentioned that this was very personal to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Were those themes that you were, I guess, like exploring with this?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leo and I, we wrote the story together.
Yeah.
But the story came out of just designing the game first. So we kind of came up with ideas for the game, and we knew we wanted to be about a ghost and something about a
Right.
ghost, something about ghosts or something like that. We thought that was a cool idea.
Right.
Um, and then it became a question, like as we were developing narrative ideas,
Right.
we wanted to we put a lot of thought and time into the story. And I know that there have been players who have played the game and think that the story feels maybe a little thin or like it's a little underdeveloped.
I
Um,
didn't think so.
it's actually a lot of it is very intentional.
Yeah.
There's like intentional like misdirection. There's
Yep.
intentional I wouldn't say subversion of expectations,
Hmm.
because really every player by the end of the game should know what is going to happen at the end of the game without spoiling it.
I think
Like we have told you through the game many
yeah,
times what is going to happen, and
exactly.
it is fascinating to me to see all the different players who play the game, their
Yeah.
reactions to how the game ends, because it is a very specific ending that we
Yeah.
created and thought about a lot beforehand.
Yeah.
Um,
It was
because
very bittersweet.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
and that is death is a very heavy topic, and
Yes.
it is a topic that will be relevant and
Yep.
important to people forever, for as
Yep.
long as there are people.
Yep.
So we realized that we wanted to make a game dealing with death, but
Hmm.
not make it super dark, not have it
Yeah.
feel really dark all the time, even
Yeah.
though it is, these are really big themes and really
Yeah.
important, difficult things to talk
Yeah.
about. Some people never think about them, never think
Yep.
about these concepts, because no one has answers, really. No
No
one
one.
has like
Yeah.
the like cathartic answers. Even people who might think
Hmm.
that they do, those might not be cathartic answers for everyone.
Exactly.
Different people have
Right.
different cultures, different time periods, whatever.
Yeah.
People think about these things differently. So
Hmm.
we wanted to be able to brush up against many different perspectives and ideas
Mm.
that surround mortality and
Yes.
the fact that all things end. But we wanted to do that without being heavy-handed, without it feeling like as you're going through the game. Yeah, and I do feel like I am an artist who, as soon as I finish with something, I like immediately hate it, and all I can think about are all the things I would change and all the things that aren't finished and that's what I do. Hauntii is the one thing that I've like made it, and I, especially with the storyline, I'm like, I feel very good about it, where I'm like, I think we did exactly what we wanted to do. And based on how people have reacted to it and the discussions I've had with people, because Leo and I have, I don't want to say like official lore, but like Leo and I, we have a lot of stuff that we thought about and talked about and discussed and created for the game. Some of that stuff didn't even make it into the game. It's just, things that informed things that are in the game and stuff like that. But we don't really talk, we don't get too in the weeds with people about that stuff, just because it is a game that there is a lot left to interpretation on purpose. And specific things that are left to interpretation on purpose. Not everything, you know, we do have a perspective, we do have specific, you know, perspectives that he and I both share, and that we can, you know, try to convey through the story and the characters and the events of the story. But there are other elements that we want. There are other elements that we want people to, because death is such a difficult topic, and it is such a personal topic for everyone. Everyone has to deal with it at some point in their life, whether it's a loved one or a friend or their own death, you know, making peace with these things. We wanted to leave a lot of things up to people's interpretations, but not too open. And I think we did manage to walk a very fine line right there.
I think so too. Like I can see how some people would not they wouldn't be, I guess, like emotionally happy about the ending. But I don't think the ending should be happy, emotionally
That's the
happy,
question.
if that makes
that
sense,
is part of the question, at least. Yeah, that's the there are people who really, really, really love the ending of the game, and it really resonates with them. And I am one of those people, because again, like Hauntii is not. It is a very personal thing for me, for Leo and I. But it's so personal that on some level, it almost feels like I didn't make it. Like it feels like it came out of me in a way. And you can't sit down as a creative and go, okay, here it is, blah, 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 you know, and just like, there it is, it's done. Like it was a project that took us years to make. So we as people went through bad days and good days and happy thoughts and terrible thoughts and being tired and being enthused and all these things, and all of that gets put into one piece, you know, and then you sit back and you look at it and you go, okay, what does this look like? How does this feel? And like, I don't know, it's
that's incredible. Like, because I tend to love these types of games, so I'll just list off a whole bunch of these types of games that I really like. So Hauntii, for sure. Chained Echoes, I've mentioned. Death's Door is another really good one.
I haven't finished it, but it's
very good. It's very, very good. And like from a composer's perspective, I think you'll really enjoy it too. Because I believe David Fenn also like programmed the game too, I believe. Because I think he's the sound designer and composer, I believe. So there are parts of it. I don't know if you've gotten to it yet, but there are parts of it where do you know where you are in the game?
I don't remember.
Don't remember? Do you remember going into like Grandma's mansion or something like that?
No.
Okay. Well,
I don't think so.
When you get there, there's a part where if you go down when you go down to the basement, you're gonna love it.
Okay, cool.
So good.
Nice.
But that one also deals with death. And then Tunic was also a really good one.
Tunic,
Tunic was amazing. I was so bad at the bosses, I had to give the controller to my husband to do them. But I did all the puzzles. I did all the puzzles.
Nice.
And then there's a few more that I can't remember right off the top of my head. But they're all about. I realize that they're all about death.
Have you played Gris?
Yeah,
Gris. Yes, I played Gris too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
amazing.
my god. Oh my
Holy
goodness.
cow, what a freaking work
I still need to play
art.
Neva, which is their new one.
Yes.
Did
you know they came out with another one?
I did not know about that.
Yeah, it just came out, and I have it installed on my Steam Deck. I just need to play it.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, we actually had direct influences for this game. I would say were Journey
Yes.
Yeah.
100%
Journey is
Journey.
amazing.
Um, Ico or Eco,
Yeah.
however
Oh
people
yeah.
pronounce it,
I
Yeah.
haven't played
which is
that
a
one.
game. Yeah, it came out on PlayStation 2, so years ago. It's the same
Okay.
company that made Shadow of the Colossus and The Last Guardian, which are games that
Oh.
are also brilliant. But
Yeah.
yeah, the
Okay.
Eco. If you ever do play or see someone play
Yeah.
Eco, you'll be like, oh yeah, I can totally see. You play as a
Got
little
it.
boy
Yep.
and there's a little girl, and you go,
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
for me,
Yeah.
Death Stranding actually was
Oh, I
Oh, it
haven't
was
played that
so
one.
really,
good.
really impactful, and it is
Okay.
not a game for everyone. And there
Got
are,
it.
I never feel like I can recommend it to people because it is a
Yeah.
game that like, it's almost
Yeah.
about struggling to play it. Like that's almost what the game.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
an
know.
experience.
But
It is not your typical
it is a
game.
work of art. No, but it is a
It
work
is.
of art,
Oh
and it is
God, it is such a
if
work of
you're
art.
the kind of
Oh.
person where it could resonate with you, it
Yeah.
will, and you'll be like a wreck. But yeah,
It
that was a
resonates. Yeah.
huge, yeah,
It resonates with you in a way that you won't even be able to like
describe.
realize until you
Wow.
actually play it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
Wow.
it's like one of the best ways I can describe it is like, yeah, you're basically
Yeah.
you're basically a delivery person in
yeah.
this
Okay.
weird
Your
apocalypse.
FedEx,
But the
Amazon.
yeah, but the whole experience of the game is like you walking and going through these places and these deliveries and the world and
Wow.
that game has some of the strongest atmosphere I've ever encountered
Oh
in a
yeah.
video game, and
In
But
that's
it's
saying
it's
something.
bizarre. It's a bizarre game
It's
with
really
Yeah.
bizarre
bizarre.
imagery and
Yeah.
storyline things that you just have to like. If you try to describe it to somebody, they'll go like, "You're crazy. I don't know what
Crazy.
this is." But when you
Yeah,
sit in it and you play
Yeah.
it for 30 hours or whatever, by the
Yeah.
time you get to the credits, it's
it's a
like,
long game. Yeah.
why am
Yeah.
I I'm crying and I don't even know why. Like I'm a mess, but
Oh
like
yeah.
this just has hit me in
You
such a,
don't know why.
it's one of
Yeah.
those. Yeah, it's one of those things that
I
so
want
that
to
game
experience that.
just artistically, yeah, that game is like potent. It's like
That oh, that
impactful.
reminds me of To the Moon.
Oh my
Oh, I haven't
God.
played that.
I
Oh
haven't
my
played that yet.
God.
Um.
Oh my God. I
Through the
that
Moon.
game so that
Yeah.
game and this is most people's reaction.
Yeah.
That game will make you sob uncontrollably.
Mm,
That's what my husband says.
okay.
You will
He's
be
been
I'll check it out.
trying.
sobbing
Yeah. Yeah.
uncontrollably. There's there's a
Favorite
moment
games.
where you're just gonna be absolutely like you cannot stop crying.
The
Wow.
main song is Everything's All Right, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that song is my husband and my, like, it's our song.
Oh,
Like,
oh, that's really sweet.
Wow.
so we,
Um,
yeah. So that is our, like, when we were like first dating and like, we, you know how just as a couple, you end up kind of picking your song.
mhm.
Everything is All Right is our song.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So,
really that's amazing.
yeah.
If you
So
do play To the Moon, please you should
it's
definitely stream
on,
yourself
yeah,
playing.
like
You should
I
stream
need
yourself
to.
playing that.
Okay. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like it goes
I'm
places
adding it.
and
I'm adding it to my wish list. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna.
uh,
Yeah, I've only
it's
heard
not a long
amazing
game.
things
It's
about
not
it.
long. It's not
Yeah.
long. You'll be able to beat it in I beat it in maybe 4 or 5 hours. It's very
Oh wow,
short.
that's a very short
It's
game.
really
Mm.
short. It's really
Okay.
short. It's short but so sweet.
Short but
Oh
sweet.
my
Ah.
goodness.
Short and sweet. There you go.
Oh
I
Amazing.
wow.
the only other thing that the only other game I would say is hugely inspirational to me in general now,
Yeah.
and that I try to recommend to every single person because I think
Yeah.
every human should experience it. If you
Yeah.
haven't played it, play Outer Wilds. Don't
I've
look
heard
I've
of it.
been
don't
meaning
look
to
up
play that.
anything about it. Don't ask
I've been
anybody
meaning to play
anything
that.
about it.
Cool.
I'm not going to tell you anything about it except that it is a game about having knowledge. It's like a game not having but like
Yeah.
it's a game about just like
Oh.
learning what the game
Yeah.
is, and so you cannot play it twice. You cannot play it a second
Okay.
time. Once you have played it, you'll understand. You'll understand when you get to the end of the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it transcends video games as an art form. It is like
Outer Wilds. Okay.
yes, it is
I've heard of it.
gleaming jewel work of art that is just incredible. It's like it's incredible. It's
Yeah.
Speaking of not
Wild.
being able to play it twice and knowledge, it reminds me of at least my
Oh.
experience with Chants of Sonar. Have you guys?
that's what
played
I've
that
heard.
one?
Yeah, I haven't played it, but
I've never heard of
I
that
have it
game,
on my
actually.
list.
It's incredible. So it was another of those games that like my
husband
Chants of Sonar, chant like Gregorian chant.
Oh,
wow, I'm
okay.
such a nerd for saying that. But Chants of Sonar.
Music nerd. Music nerd.
Sonar is, I think it's SENNAR. That one is another really good one that sort of, I think, deals with the concept of death. Yeah. Sort of.
Yeah, and language and like,
yes, language. So yes. it was really funny. My husband greatly enjoyed watching me try to figure out these languages, because that's what you're doing, is you're figuring out languages. And yeah, my husband had a ball watching me. He loves watching me struggle
to figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that on my list. I gotta play through it.
Nathan also mentioned Omori. Omori is another of my favorites.
I keep hearing about that one. Yeah, I keep hearing that game is like super. It doesn't seem like it's super dark, but it's.
Oh, it's very dark.
Oh,
it's very very dark.
The game is like it. Yeah.
It's also definitely deals with death. The music is amazing as well. Okay. Storytelling, dialogue is amazing. Yeah, my husband and I are huge fans, so
nice.
He bought me an Omori.
Oh
wow! oh, nice. That's awesome.
Desk mat. And yeah, so like I think I guess I just wanted to say like thank you for making this beautiful game, like both of you. And like, you know, it made me think. And it made me like contemplate, and I think that as an artist as well, like you want to be experiencing art forms that make you think twice about things and consider things. Right. And I just want to let you know that I really appreciated it as another creative, and
that means a lot.
It's very inspiring, so thank you.
That means a lot, really. It does. I'm gonna like not choke up right now, but because I mean, as an artist, you know, like you know, I think at rock bottom, art is literally just communication, and it is the one thing that we as humans have that separates us from like other animal species. I think is our ability to engage in art, and because art is just us expressing what is happening in our conscious experience outward. And like if aliens ever came to our planet, the best way that they could understand what humans are would be to engage with our art. To look
at our art.
Yeah, so so making Hauntii, like every day Leo and I both would be thinking about like how are people going to interpret this? How is this going to make them feel? What is this going to make them think? What is, you know, and just hoping that whatever we're putting out there is interesting enough and engaging enough for other people to go like, oh, I'm also picking up these feelings. It's a very surreal sort of experience, but and it's not always successful as an artist, you know, like sometimes pieces of art that you make don't land with people or resonate in a way, and it just means the world when it does, when things do. So it really means a lot. Thank you for playing the game.
Thank you for making it. Thank you for coming on here and just nerding with me. This was amazing. And letting me play your beautiful music. Thank you so much. And thank you, Greg, for your wonderful performance. That was
thank you.
Gorgeous.
Master.
So I'm going to say bye to my chat first, but I'll just deafen and mute myself over here, and then I can kind of like come back on here and say goodbye to you guys properly. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Sure.
So
be here.
Let me just do that real quick.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you so much. Everyone in the chat, say bye. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet everybody. Cheers.
I will reconnect with you guys in just a bit. So give me a second.
Alrighty. Bye.
All right.
Okay.
Nice. Well, this was fun.
That was fun.
This was cool.
Okay.
When I get to nerd out about music stuff, it's like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me.
That was awesome. Yeah,
there we go. Okay, so I just want to say bye to you guys real quick. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Oops, I realized.
How was the rest of MagFest?
Give me a second.
You
Sorry,
got back home
guys.
safe and everything's good.
There. Okay. So yeah, seriously, thank you guys so much for joining today. That was super fun, and I don't know, man, guys, like that was such a crazy experience. And I don't know. There's so much to think about. I think it is kind of like, as a person experiencing the art, to be able to talk to the people who created it, it's just, my brain is like going at 500 miles a minute. So thank you guys for watching. And I'll let them know that you guys were really happy that I brought them on. But yeah, apologies for a little bit of scuff here and there while we've been doing this. This is kind of the first time that I've brought people on live like this. So thank you for, being kind of my guinea pigs figuring this out. But I do plan on streaming again next week. I'm just unsure exactly when I'm going to do it. And also I don't exactly know what I'm going to do. So part of me feels like I haven't done a proper sight reading stream in a while. So I am toying with that idea, but I'm not exactly sure if that's exactly what I want to do. But oh, look at this headphone hair. But yeah, so right, amazing performance. I completely agree. So yeah, if you guys want to go play Hauntii, I did link in the bottom bar below. There is a Steam bundle with the OST, with the original soundtrack. So and I think it's going for only like $20 right now or something like that. So very cheap, really great. You get both the OST and the game. So highly recommend it. Thank you all so much for joining. I love you all so very much. I'll see you sometime next week for something, maybe sight reading, but maybe something else if I come up with a better idea. But I love you all so very much. Please stay happy, healthy, and safe. And I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing weekend, guys. Laters. Bye. It's not going away. The scuff continues.